I grew up in Texas with one photo of a man in a suit, my father. When I finally found his family, he was already dead, and his wife looked at me like a stain. Grandma didn't. She rewrote the will, the company to them, the mansion to me. Then my stepmother ambushed Grandma outside her lawyer's office and ripped the bag from her hands. Grandma hit the pavement. A driver named Ethan saved her, and my family framed him for the theft. They thought they stole paper. They lit a fuse. My mom used to say Texas has two kinds of heat. The kind you can see rising off the highway, and the kind you feel when you're standing in front of something you've wanted your whole life, and it still doesn't feel like yours. All I had of my father was one photograph my mother kept wrapped in tissue paper like it was sacred. A young man in a suit, standing in front of a house that looked unreal. Stone, ironwork, money that never had to explain itself. My mother never called him a villain. She called him a love she couldn't afford. She told me his family rejected her because she was poor. Before she even knew she was pregnant, she left so she wouldn't ruin his life. Then she died, and the world went quiet in the worst way. I grew up in places where you learn to be small. Keep your voice down, don't take up space, don't ask for more than you're offered. Through all of it, I kept that photo, not as a key to a fortune, but as proof I wasn't a rumor. Somewhere out there was a door with my blood behind it. When I finally found the address, I drove out past wide fields and sun-bleached roads, hands sweating. The closer I got, the more ridiculous I felt. Like I was about to knock on a life that would laugh at me. Then I saw the gate. Tall black iron, stone pillars, a driveway disappearing into trees like the house was hiding. I pressed the intercom. A voice crackled through. Yes? My name is... My throat tightened. I think I'm family. I have proof. A pause. Stay where you are. A security guard came out, eyes scanning me like I was a problem. I handed him the photo with shaking fingers. His expression changed, and he walked back inside. I stood there in the heat, dust on my shoes, wondering if this was the moment the gate stayed shut forever. Then it opened, enough to remind me it could close again. An older woman walked down the driveway, posture straight, eyes sharp. She didn't look fragile. She looked like the kind of person who'd never apologized until the day she had to. My grandmother. She stopped a few feet from me and stared, as if she was seeing a ghost that refused to stay dead. You look like her, she said. My mother? I managed. She took the photo and held it like it weighed more than paper. For the first time, her face cracked. I was wrong, she said quietly. Then, without blinking, my son passed away. The words hit like a door slamming. All those years of questions, and the only person who could answer them was already gone. I didn't cry. I couldn't, not in that heat. Breaking in front of that gate felt like giving them exactly what they expected from someone like me. My grandmother watched me for a long beat. Then she said softer, she left to protect him. I didn't come for money, I said. I know, she replied. If you wanted money, you wouldn't have chosen this family. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. I sent your mother away. I told myself I was protecting my son, and life went on like I'd won. Her gaze hardened. But you're standing here, so I didn't win. Then she turned toward the open gate. Come inside. The house was bigger than the photo, the kind of place where silence had value. Inside, the air conditioning hit my skin like winter, and I hated it because it felt like comfort I hadn't earned. I don't need anything, I said quickly before anyone could accuse me. I just wanted to know where I came from. My grandmother nodded once. You came from us, she said, and you're not leaving empty-handed again. On the steps stood my stepmother, perfect smile, eyes like a scanner. Beside her was my half-brother, tense, watching me like he was trying to decide whether I was real or a threat. Who is this? My stepmother asked. My grandmother didn't soften. This is my granddaughter. My stepmother's smile tightened. We need to be careful. People show up with stories. People, not family. A category. My half-brother's voice came out low. Dad is gone. I know, I said. The way he looked at me wasn't hate yet. It was fear, because my existence changed the story he'd been raised inside. As the front door opened, I felt every stare measuring me. Staff, family, history. And I understood the truth before anyone said it out loud. I didn't just walk through a gate. I walked into a family that would rather rewrite reality than make room for me. The first week in that mansion taught me something I already knew. A place can be beautiful and still make you feel unwelcome. The floors were marble, the ceilings too high, the air conditioning too cold. Everything smelled like polish, like the house was constantly being scrubbed of anything messy, including me. I tried to live lightly, the way you do when you've spent your life being tolerated instead of loved. I woke up early. I spoke softly. I cleaned up after myself like someone might point at the smallest mistake and call it proof. Grandma didn't ask me to shrink. She gave me small tasks, tea, her medication, reading her mail, not because she needed a servant, but because she wanted me near her. Near her was the only place the house felt steady. Away from her, the red flags stacked up. The dinner table was the first test. My stepmother hosted like she was auditioning. Perfect posture, laugh, questions that sounded warm until you listened closely. "So," she said one night, smiling at me across the table, "how long are you planning to stay?" My uncle didn't even pretend. "Yeah, what's the end game here?" End game. Like my existence was a strategy. I kept my tone calm. "I'm here for Grandma." My stepmother's eyes softened, performative concern. "Of course you are. We just want to make sure she isn't being overwhelmed. Grief does things to people." Grandma didn't look up. "Grief didn't write her into my bloodline," she said flatly. "I did." My stepmother's smile tightened. "No one is denying biology. We're just talking about family harmony." Family harmony. Code for, don't challenge us. My uncle leaned back. "Let's be realistic. People don't show up at gates unless they want something." "I wanted to belong," I said. "That's not the same as wanting your money." My half-brother stared at his glass like he could drown in it. He didn't defend me. He didn't attack me either. He just sat there, tense, like he was watching a fuse burn. The hallway gave me the second warning. I turned a corner and heard my stepmother's voice in the study, low, urgent, like fear pretending to be responsible. "She's getting close to Mom," she said. "It's not normal." My uncle answered, quieter but colder. "What's not normal is Mom acting like she has a conscience." A pause. Then my stepmother. If she changes anything, my uncle cut in. "We handle it before it becomes real." Handle it. Not talk about it. Not accept it. I backed away before they saw me, heart pounding, face calm. I'd learned long ago that looking scared only makes predators braver. The kitchen, late at night, was the third. My half-brother was there alone, pouring a drink he didn't need. He didn't look up when I walked in. "You got a room," he said. "Yes." "You got her attention," he added, voice clipped. "That's what you wanted." I set a glass down gently so my hands wouldn't show. "I wanted my father alive," I said. "I wanted my mother not dead. I wanted a childhood. But sure, pretend I drove up here for a mattress and a chandelier." His jaw worked. For half a second, he looked ashamed. Then he hardened. "Just don't take what isn't yours," he muttered. I met his eyes. "I'm not trying to take," I said quietly. "I'm trying to stop being treated like I'm stealing oxygen." He left without answering. After that, the house tightened around me. Doors closed a little faster. Conversations stopped when I entered. Nobody had to say the word illegitimate for me to feel it. My stepmother became kinder whenever there was an audience. If a neighbor stopped by, she'd touch my shoulder and call me sweetheart, like she'd been raising me all along. The second the door shut, her voice went crisp. Just try not to upset Grandma. What it really was branding. A public story they wanted to control. The more they tried to polish me into something harmless, the more I understood I wasn't being welcomed. I was being managed. Grandma noticed. One afternoon, she sat by the window with her tea and said, "They're testing you." "I know," I replied. Her fingers tightened around the cup. "They tested your mother too." I swallowed. "Did she ever hate you?" Grandma stared at the lawn like she was watching the past move across it. "She was too proud to beg," she said. "And I was too proud to admit I was wrong." That night, Grandma called a family lunch. But everyone showed up like it was a meeting. My uncle sat straighter. My stepmother wore pearls. My half-brother tried to look bored, but his leg bounced under the table. Grandma's voice was calm. "I've been reviewing my plans." My stepmother leaned forward immediately. "Mom, you don't need to stress yourself. We can handle paperwork." Grandma looked at her like she'd spoken in a foreign language. "No," she said. "You can't." Silence. Grandma set her fork down. "I made a mistake a long time ago," she continued, "and I won't die without fixing it on paper." My stepmother's smile froze. My uncle's eyes sharpened. My half-brother went still. And I realized what they were really afraid of. Not that I wanted money. That Grandma was about to write my existence into ink. Grandma chose to announce it over dessert, in her dining room, under a chandelier bright enough to make every smile look honest. That's the thing about rich houses. They're built for optics, polished table, crystal glasses, linen napkins. If you didn't listen closely, you could believe this was a normal family gathering. It wasn't. My stepmother floated from guest to guest, laughing at the right volume. My uncle held court like the room belonged to him. My half-brother hovered near the bar, trying to look bored, failing. And I stayed close to Grandma's chair, the way you stand when you know you're only allowed in the room because someone powerful insists. I could feel the room's attention on me in that specific careful way rich people stare when they're deciding whether you're a guest or a lawsuit. Part of me wanted to stand up and say, "Keep your mansion, keep your company, keep your story." But I knew that would only make me sound guilty, like I was negotiating for more. So I did what I'd learned to do my whole life. I stayed quiet and I watched. When the plates were cleared, Grandma tapped her spoon against her glass. The clink was small, the silence it created was not. "I asked you all here," she said, "because I want to be very clear." My stepmother's smile warmed instantly. "Mom, you don't have to make announcements. We can talk later, privately." Grandma didn't even look at her. "No," she said. "Private is where you twist my words." My uncle cleared his throat. "Mother, no one is twisting anything." Grandma's eyes cut to him. "You've been trying since the day she walked through the gate." My half-brother's glass paused halfway to his mouth. Grandma set her napkin down with deliberate care. "I reviewed my estate plans," she continued. "My will." My stepmother's voice softened into concern. "Mom, you're grieving. You're stressed. We don't want you making decisions you won't remember." Grandma leaned back. "I remember exactly what I'm doing." My uncle's jaw tightened. "Why now?" "Because I'm alive now," Grandma said, "and I'm done letting you wait me out." The air changed. Grandma looked around the table, slow and steady. "The company will remain in the family line as planned," she said. "My controlling interest in the operational authority will transfer to my brother." She nodded at my uncle. "And to my grandson." Relief flickered across my uncle's face before he could hide it. My stepmother exhaled like the room had been saved. My half-brother's shoulders loosened, like he'd been holding his breath for days. Then Grandma kept going. "But this house," she said, calm as winter, "this property will go to her." And she placed her hand over mine on the table. For a second, nobody moved. Even the staff in the background froze. My stepmother's smile cracked first. "Mom, that doesn't make sense," she said lightly, like she could laugh the decision off. "This house is part of the family." Grandma nodded once. "Exactly." My uncle leaned forward. "You're making an emotional decision." "You mean a decision you can't control," Grandma replied. My half-brother's eyes snapped to me like I'd stolen something in front of him. "She just got here," he said. "How do you even know?" "Stop," Grandma cut in. "Don't finish that sentence." He flushed. "I'm being realistic." Grandma's voice stayed steady. "Realistic is admitting you don't like her existing here. Not because of money, because she changes the story you've been living inside." My stepmother's tone sharpened under the honey. "So what? She gets the mansion and we just adjust?" Grandma looked at her. "You've adjusted to worse things," she said. My uncle scoffed. "This isn't fair. You're rewarding—" He stopped himself, but the shape of the word hung in the air anyway. "Rewarding the stray. Rewarding the mistake. Rewarding the girl you tried to erase." Grandma leaned forward slightly, eyes hard. "You are not entitled to everything I own," she said. "Not because you're blood. Not because you're loud. Not because you learned how to smile for the neighbors." My stepmother's eyes flashed. "She is not your son's legitimate—" "Enough!" Grandma snapped, and the room obeyed her like it always had, back when everyone feared her more than they loved her. Grandma's hand tightened over mine. "I'm not doing this to punish you," she said. "I'm doing it because I was wrong a long time ago, and I will not die wrong." My half-brother set his glass down. His voice came out low and raw. "So I get the company, and she gets the home?" "You get the legacy you were raised to worship," Grandma said. "She gets a place she can't be thrown out of, and you all get a chance to prove you're bigger than your fear." My uncle pushed his chair back an inch. "This isn't over," he muttered. Grandma met his stare. "No," she agreed. "It isn't." As the dinner broke apart, my stepmother drifted to Grandma's side, all softness again. "Mom, you should rest," she murmured. "You've had a long night." Grandma stood slowly. "I'll rest when my decisions are filed," she said. My uncle's head snapped up. "Filed?" Grandma's gaze stayed calm. "I have an appointment with my attorney," she said, like she was discussing the weather. And in the split second my uncle's eyes sharpened, urgency replacing anger. I understood the real danger wasn't the announcement. It was what they would do next to keep it from becoming paper. Because now, they didn't just fear me taking something, they feared me existing in ink. And I knew they were about to move. Grandma didn't announce her attorney appointment like a victory lap. She moved quietly, because quiet is how you survive in a house full of listeners. Texas heat was already shimmering off the pavement when she walked into that low beige office building, the kind of place that looks boring on purpose. Real power in this state rarely comes with dramatic architecture. One detail matters. Grandma's attorney kept the original will locked at the office. What Grandma carried out was a packet, copies, notes, confirmations. Not the treasure my uncle imagined. Still, paper is paper, and fear makes people stupid. My stepmother followed her anyway. She waited in the parking lot like she'd just happened to be in the area. When Grandma stepped into the sunlight, purse on her shoulder, my stepmother slid into her path with that polished smile. "Mom," she said, too sweet, "what are you doing here alone?" Grandma didn't slow down. "Finishing business." My stepmother's eyes flicked to the purse. "About the will?" "You don't get to audit my decisions," Grandma replied. The smile tightened. The voice softened into concern. "You're emotional. You're being manipulated. You're making choices out of guilt." Guilt, the word they loved. Because if Grandma was guilty, then my stepmother could pretend she was saving the family. Grandma's eyes went cold. "The only mistake I regret," she said, "is letting you believe you can talk to me like this." My stepmother stepped closer. "If you do this, you're tearing this family apart." Grandma barely blinked. "No," she said, "I'm exposing it." That's when my stepmother grabbed the purse. Not a gentle tug, a hard, angry yank, like she was done acting. Grandma jerked back on instinct. The strap cut across her shoulder. My stepmother yanked again, and Grandma's feet slid on the hot pavement. Then it happened, fast and stupid and permanent. Grandma tipped backward and hit the ground with a sound that didn't belong in a clean parking lot. My stepmother ran. She didn't check Grandma's breathing. She didn't look back to see if she'd killed her. She just clutched that purse like it was oxygen and sprinted to her SUV. A pickup truck rolled into the lot right then. The driver, mid-30s, work shirt, sun-worn face, saw Grandma on the ground and didn't hesitate. Ethan. It was his first day working for my uncle. He threw the truck into park, jumped out, and dropped beside Grandma. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" he said, voice steady but urgent. He checked her pulse, called 911, and made the call every decent person makes when time matters more than rules. He drove her to the hospital. While he was doing that, my uncle was at the house watching the clock like the world owed him punctuality. He'd hired Ethan to take him to a big investor meeting, the kind of thing he bragged about like it made him important. Ethan didn't show, because Ethan was busy saving the woman my uncle wanted powerless. My uncle lit up Ethan's phone with angry calls. When Ethan finally answered, sirens in the background, he said, "Sir, I found an elderly woman down, head injury. I'm taking her to the ER." My uncle didn't ask if she was alive. He snapped, "Where the hell are you?" Ethan tried again. "She needed help." "You're fired," my uncle said. "Day 1, no shows, done." Ethan didn't argue. He kept driving. The call didn't come from my stepmother. It didn't come from my uncle. They didn't rush to the hospital like people who love someone. The call came from a nurse who sounded tired and careful. "Ma'am, we have an elderly patient brought in after an incident in a parking lot. She's asking for family." I drove there with my hands shaking on the steering wheel, trying to keep my breathing steady, trying not to picture Grandma's head hitting the ground again and again. When I walked into that fluorescent hallway, I saw the truth before anyone spoke. The only person sitting there was a stranger. Not my uncle, not my stepmother, not my half-brother. Just Ethan, waiting, like he'd done something wrong by caring. And for the first time, it hit me how easy it is to hurt someone in a family like ours. You don't even need a weapon. You just need everyone to agree to pretend it didn't happen. Ethan sat in a plastic chair in the hallway, hands clasped, jaw tight, like he was holding his own panic down out of respect. He stood when he saw me. "You family?" he asked. "Yes," I said, and my voice came out thinner than I wanted. He hesitated, then said, "I'm sorry. A woman grabbed a purse and ran. I didn't see her face clear." I didn't need him to. I could already hear my stepmother rehearsing her next performance. Concern, shock, tears for the neighbors. Anything but truth. Grandma survived. That's the miracle. But watching that bandage on her head, I understood the shift we'd just crossed. This wasn't whispers at dinner anymore. This was hands on bodies, theft, violence disguised as family business. They thought snatching a purse would stop ink from becoming real. They didn't realize they just created a witness, a timeline, and a decent man desperate enough to become their scapegoat. And as Grandma slept, I felt the next move coming, fast, ugly, inevitable. They thought they stole paper, but all they'd really done was light the fuse. Grandma left the hospital alive, stitched, monitored, and surrounded by people who suddenly remembered how to act concerned. My stepmother cried in the waiting room, loud enough for strangers to notice. My uncle complained about liability. My half-brother stared at the floor like he was trying to decide which story to believe. I watched Grandma, because in the middle of all that noise, she looked at me once, just once, and the look was clear. She wasn't broken. She was thinking. When the doctor asked simple questions, name, date, location, Grandma answered oddly. Not wrong, just off, like she was reaching for the truth and choosing a different shelf. My stepmother leaned in immediately. See, she's confused. We need to keep her protected. Grandma blinked at her, blank. Then, when my stepmother turned away, Grandma's eyes snapped back to mine, sharp, present, and she murmured, "Let them show themselves." Selective confusion. If you want to know what people will do for money, you remove the consequences and watch them move. A day later, Grandma wandered off. That's what my stepmother told the police, hand over her heart, voice trembling for the neighbors. The truth was simple. Grandma slipped out while everyone argued about who would control her medications. Hours passed. Night came. My phone stayed silent until a number I didn't recognize finally popped up. A diner owner on the outskirts. "Ma'am," she said, "we have an elderly lady." She ate, then got confused about paying. "My cook's mad. I don't want trouble, but..." I drove there fast. Grandma sat in a booth, hair slightly mussed, eyes wide and unfocused, until she saw me. Then she softened, just a fraction. My stepmother would have called her helpless. I saw something else. She was choosing who to trust. The cook was still muttering when a man stepped between him and Grandma. Ethan. No uniform now, just a delivery bag and the tired posture of someone stringing together rideshare shifts to survive. "She with you?" he asked me. "She's my grandmother," I said. Ethan nodded once and turned to the owner. "I'll pay," he said, already pulling out his card. He paid without a word. Outside, the air smelt like asphalt and fried food. Ethan looked at Grandma. "Ma'am, do you know where you live?" Grandma gave him the blank expression she'd been practicing. "I don't know," she said softly. "I don't know where my home is." Ethan exhaled. He could have walked away. Instead, he said, "Okay, then you're coming with me until we figure it out." He took her to his place, a small house on the outskirts. He gave her water, a blanket, and the kind of patience you can't fake. Then he posted in a local community group, Next Door, neighborhood Facebook, careful and respectful. No full name, just a photo and found an elderly woman alone, safe, looking for family. I saw it late at night while doom scrolling my own panic, and suddenly, Grandma was public. I brought the family to Ethan's door. My uncle arrived furious. My stepmother arrived trembling, perfect worry for an audience. My half-brother arrived silent and pale. The second Grandma saw them, her body changed. She recoiled from my stepmother like her skin recognized danger. She snapped at my uncle when he stepped forward. "Don't touch me," she hissed. My stepmother cried instantly. "Mom, it's me. You're safe. Come home." Grandma stared right through her. "Home," she repeated, like the word tasted wrong. Then Grandma saw me. Her shoulders dropped, her face softened. She reached for my hand like she knew exactly what she was doing. My uncle tried to seize control. "We're taking her," he said. "This is insane." Grandma's eyes went flat. "No." They argued, law, optics, who looks bad to whom. Ethan stayed back, silent. I made the only move that kept Grandma calm. "I'll stay," I said. My stepmother whipped toward me. "Stay where?" "Here," I said, "with Grandma, until she's stable." My uncle scoffed, but he couldn't drag Grandma out while she screamed without wrecking their precious image. So they agreed, because humiliation was better than a scene. Days blurred into a tense routine. Grandma played her role with frightening skill, confused in front of the wrong people, clear in quiet moments with me. Ethan worked long hours and came home exhausted, still decent. I watched everything, started keeping notes, started saving texts, because I knew we were past the point where innocence was protection. My uncle started circling Ethan, offered him his job back, promised better pay. "Just come in," he said. "We need to clear up what happened with Mom's purse." Clear up meant, tell me what you saw. Tell me what she said. Tell me where the paper went. At the same time, my half-brother's eyes changed. He started watching his mother too closely. He asked questions nobody wanted to answer. Why her story shifted. Why she was the only one Grandma couldn't stand near. Then my uncle made his move. 2 officers showed up at Ethan's door. Ethan didn't run. He didn't shout. He looked at me once and said quietly, "I didn't take anything." My uncle stood behind the officers with that smooth, reasonable voice. "We're just trying to recover Grandma's property," he said. "This man was the last one with her purse." Scapegoat. They finally found one. Ethan was taken in to answer questions, the polite phrase people use when they want you to believe it isn't punishment. I opened my notes app and typed one sentence. If they can frame him, they can frame anyone too. Grandma sat on the couch, hands folded, eyes blank, until the door shut. Then she looked at me, sharp again, and whispered, furious and steady, "They think they've won." I stared at the empty doorway where Ethan had stood, and the anger in my chest turned cold, because the kindest man in this story was sitting in a holding cell. And my family was calling it concern. They brought Grandma back to the mansion for safety. That's how my half-brother phrased it when he showed up at Ethan's house the morning after the police took Ethan in. His voice was careful, like he was trying to sound neutral in a war that already had sides. "I can keep her calm," he said. "Here, it's too exposed." I didn't trust the mansion, but Grandma nodded, distant and confused in front of him, and when she passed me, her fingers brushed my wrist. Light, deliberate. Stay ready. Back through the gates we went, into cold air conditioning and polished silence. My stepmother met us in the foyer with a gasp that sounded practiced. "Thank God," she cried. "Mom, you're home." Grandma stared at her like she'd never seen her before. My stepmother turned to my half-brother. "They have the man, right?" My half-brother's jaw tightened. "They're holding him." My stepmother's relief flashed too fast. "Good," she said. Then she smoothed her voice. "Good, the purse thief is caught." Grandma's head turned slowly. "Purse?" she asked, small and lost. Later, my stepmother brought the purse into the sitting room like a trophy. She didn't explain how it returned. She just set it down and said, "See, we're handling it." Grandma stared at it too long. My half-brother noticed. I saw his eyes narrow, the first crack in his loyalty. That night, my uncle came home late. He found my stepmother in the kitchen, whispering over a glass of wine. They didn't know we were upstairs. They didn't know the stairs carried sound. My uncle's voice was low and impatient. "Where's the bag?" My stepmother hesitated. "I have it." "Why do you have it?" he snapped. "Because I had to," she hissed. She was going to ruin everything. A pause, ugly and telling. Then my uncle said the sentence that ended them. "If she's permanently confused," he murmured, "then none of this matters. We can redo everything. We can..." My stepmother exhaled. "And the girl will get tired. She'll leave." The girl. Not granddaughter, not family. Grandma went still beside me. My stepmother's eyes flashed. "This is cruel." Grandma's voice stayed even. "Cruel was stealing from me and leaving me on the pavement." My half-brother finally turned to his mother. "You did it," he said, not a question. My stepmother snapped, "Don't be dramatic." He stepped forward, choosing. "You framed an innocent man," he said, voice shaking. "You hurt Grandma, and you called it protection." Grandma looked at me. "Call my attorney." When the lawyer arrived, calm, professional, carrying truth in a folder, he confirmed what my uncle feared. The signed original was already secured at his office. The theft didn't stop the will. It only created a criminal mess. My uncle started to argue, business voice, damage control, but the lawyer didn't flinch. He mentioned cameras in the parking lot, a timeline of calls, and the fact that the missing purse had mysteriously reappeared in my stepmother's hands. My half-brother pulled the purse off the side table and set it down like evidence. "This isn't staying in this house," he said. "Not while Ethan is the one paying for it." That was the moment he stopped being a spectator. Grandma nodded once, satisfied. "Call the police," she told him. "Tell them the truth, all of it." And for the first time, my stepmother looked genuinely afraid, not of losing face, but of consequences. Grandma's gaze didn't soften. "You wanted to erase her," she said, nodding toward me. "Instead, you documented yourselves." By the end of the night, Ethan was released. I met him outside the station, Grandma beside me. Ethan looked exhausted, eyes still kind, body still upright. "I'm sorry," I said. Grandma stepped closer. "You saved my life," she told him. "Twice. And they repaid you with a cage." Ethan swallowed. "I didn't do it for them," he said quietly. "I did it because it was right." In the weeks that followed, the house changed. My uncle lost his grip. My stepmother lost her mask. My half-brother stopped hiding behind neutrality and apologized without excuses, the first real sentence he'd ever given me. And Grandma kept her promise. On paper, the mansion was mine, not because I'd begged, because she refused to die wrong. Winning felt like holding something precious with cut hands. Some mornings, I sit on that porch with Grandma's tea and think about how easily a family can erase you with a sentence, and how quickly paper can make you real again. If you've ever been told you're not really family the moment money shows up, hear me, you're not crazy. And if they try to erase you, don't argue with their story. Document it. Because paper can erase you, unless you fight back, and you keep receipts, always.